Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in Irving, in Montgomery County, near Hillsborough, in the childhood home of Steve Baker, who for 4 decades was known as Mr. Escape, and known internationally as a stuntman, escape artist, and a television celebrity. He has come back to Irving to recover from some illness problems, and he and his wife Julie, who was also his assistant on their worldwide tours, is also here helping him recover, and they're sort of reliving some of their past for us here today. So Julie Baker, it's just a fascinating story about what you and Steve and your life and the things you did, traveling around, challenging people all over the world to build an apparatus that Steve could not escape from.
To tie, chain, or otherwise contain Steve so that he could not escape.
Did you ever learn to contain Steve?
Oh, he's still here, isn't he?
Yeah, you did. You kept him.
I'm the only thing he couldn't escape from.
You know, it's fascinating because you recently got back from California. Steve had all of this paraphernalia and all of these clippings and films and his whole life as Mr. Escape. Yes. You recently got all this stuff back, and part of the story is about how you came to get it all back, and now you're fishing through it all, and it's bringing back all these memories to you.
Oh, yes.
And you're going to share some of those with us.
We'd love to.
It's terrific. First, we're going to tell this story again because I have a picture of you, but you met Steve at one of his stunts, right?
I was in the audience in a nightclub he was performing at in Boise, Idaho. And he pulled me up out of the audience, asked for a volunteer, and said, thank you, pointed to me and said, thank you for volunteering. And up I went. And he put a sword through my neck.
Which you survived.
I did. Yeah. I did. And, well, that was it. Yeah. I was hooked, or he was, or we were.
And Steve is right here with us, and like you say, you're helping him recover now. He was had some hospitalization and needed some recovery time, but here he is back, and we're going to get a chance to talk to Steve too about these days. But this is really a good place to start because he became famous by outdoing Houdini at his own deal, right?
Right.
Why don't you, while we look at these pictures, explain to us what this stunt was?
All right. This is from the Oakland Tribune tower stunt in 1967. Steve was challenged to attempt to outdo the stunt Houdini had performed in 1923. From the Oakland Tribune tower building, Houdini hung 9 stories up and escaped from a straitjacket in a minute and a half.
And here we see Steve getting into that straitjacket, and lawmen are trying to making sure that he's actually being strapped in properly.
Absolutely. The straitjacket was supplied by one of the local hospitals. Always policemen put him in it. This is his assistant at the time, and
oh, this is before Julie.
This is before me.
Okay, BJ.
And they're getting ready to raise him up to the 10th floor.
Oh, wow. Okay, and there he goes, right?
There he is. He's now already almost out of the thing.
He's already trying to get out of it, right?
Right.
They're raising him up. Now look at the number of people that are watching him. They said there were over 20,000 people there that day?
They estimated over 22,000 people in the street. It closed down the streets for 8 hours.
Phenomenal. And so this is what really put him on the map, didn't it?
Yes, and this stunt was on the one of the very last newsreels that was shown in the movie theaters. You remember those years ago?
And so here he's kicked off the straitjacket, right?
Right. And now he's undoing his feet and attempting to make himself upright.
Oh, and look at a proud
is.
Steve Baker, Mr. Escape there. Look at him. Look at him. And all those folks, just thousands and thousands. I imagine they're cheering like crazy, right?
Screaming and yelling. Of course, this was just merely the publicity stunt for the auditorium show that would be coming up within.
But this would sell a lot of tickets, wouldn't
Absolutely.
it? Okay. And here he is taking the kudos. You can see, look at him there. Look at that. Ah, you folks down there, I did it, I did it, I did it. He looks very pleased.
Steve did it in 9 seconds.
Now, I bring this because this is Houdini.
That's Houdini the day that he did it from the Oakland Tribune.
And they're putting his straitjacket on, and he doesn't look nearly as happy about it as Steve did. He doesn't look quite as confident as Steve did. Okay, and I want to show this too, because this is cool. This is you and Steve.
Yes.
But I wanted to pick this picture out because you were this person from the audience at one time, right?
Absolutely. This is called, yes, the sword through the neck.
The sword through the neck.
The oldest lie detector test in the world.
And you know what this woman's going through,
Oh, yes.
right? Because you went through it too.
Very frightening.
Yeah.
I'd never been on a stage before. And he said, if you tell the truth, you live. If you lie, you die. I wasn't about to lie. And of course, I embarrassed myself thoroughly.
Well, you know, it must have been something traveling around all those years, going, like I said, all over the world, to Australia and all,
absolutely.
hither and yon.
Japan, South America, Mexico. We had more fun. People are wonderful, wonderful. Everywhere we went, they were just fabulous.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're going to take a little break here and talk to Steve. And then we're going to see a little bit of the video that he was on the Dick Clark show several times.
Ah, yes.
So he was a big star.
Games people played. That's incredible. He went out of an airplane at 14,000 feet, handcuffed with a straitjacket over the parachute. He had to get out of the handcuffs and the parachute before he could pull the ripcord.
Wow.
Did that for That's Incredible.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see some of that footage too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Steve, I mentioned that your boyhood home was in Irving.
Yes.
And you were not a healthy boy, were you?
No.
What was your problem?
Well, at first they thought I had, well, I did, rheumatic fever.
Uh-huh.
And I had a lady doctor that said, no, you don't. And she brought me around to where they started treating me for what I had. I don't remember what they called it, but 2 years later I was cured of whatever it was.
Yeah. But your family had to move to California to get you treated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of probably a lucky thing for you that you were in California. That gave you a place to get started, didn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
You were bound and determined that you were going to outdo Houdini at his own game.
Yep.
Why?
I just thought I could. And I did.
And you did. I know you did. And how did you even get started? How did you learn the first trick to escape like knots and stuff?
Well, I had a lot of kids that were my age at the time.
And they were tying you up?
Oh, they'd tie me up and chain me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that must not have been much fun.
Oh, yeah, it was great fun for me because I liked to beat them.
Did you amaze them
Yeah.
at what you could get out of,
Yeah.
even as a boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was when I was younger. I was very, very nimble, and it was a piece of cake for me, and I loved it when I beat those guys. I really loved it.
We're looking at we put up some DVDs on your screen here. This is the one I like, the water torture cell. Now this is on the Dick Clark show, and this is live. Look at you in that cell, and you're all chained up. Are you afraid you're going to drown there?
Nope.
And look, now here's Julie, your wife, and again, you're chained up. I don't know if you're on TV now or not, but you're in some kind of an auditorium with a big crowd. Oh, and this is the one. Now this is the one that really made you famous. This is and we saw pictures of this hanging from the tower in Oakland. Look at those thousands of people. How did you concentrate with all those people looking at you?
Oh, I was happy.
You were happy.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, they're looking at me.
And there was a picture of you holding. What are these? These are called stocks, I guess.
Yep.
How many times do you think you had to get out of these?
I've probably done those 1,000 times.
1,000 times. Well, you know, we're gonna ask Steve for you to get out of some things during this program, and they'll be minor for you, but for me, you know, I'm gonna try to get out of those little thumb locks, and you can show us how it's done, okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, Julie, we mentioned the thumb locks. And in many cases in Steve's career, when he was locked into these, he was also locked into a bunch of other stuff, and he had to start with the thumbs, right?
Right.
So let's just get out of the thumb locks first, and then we can worry about your neck and your feet and the rising water and all that other stuff. This was really the smallest thing he had to worry about. But even getting out of these is impossible because
Very
the
difficult.
FBI would use these as handcuffs.
Absolutely. These were created for the FBI. So they would have something small enough to keep in their coat pocket. So if they had to break their cover and arrest someone, they had this on them, and they could. Put your thumbs out here.
Yeah, I'm probably not the right one at this, but
you're gonna...
so you can cinch those up as tight as you want.
You betcha.
They're so tight they hurt right now.
Does that hurt?
A little bit.
And
yeah.
then, of course, if someone's not behaving, they could just bring them along.
Sure.
And they could break thumbs.
And they feel like it's kind of serrated inside because it really does hurt. Okay, now and my fingers are turning colors already.
Would you like?
Let me see what it's like to struggle to try to get these off.
Go right ahead.
I don't think that. Okay, I'm going to do like Steve does. I'm going to concentrate. I'm going to use all my psychic powers.
That hurt?
Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, it does. And it's not happening.
All right. We will just...
It'll be a relief. I'm glad you had the right key, let me tell you.
Yes.
Oh,
there
good.
we go.
Wow. Look at these lines on my thumbs. Look at that. You thought I was kidding. Oh.
Why don't we put him on Steve?
Yeah, let's see if Steve can do it.
Put your thumbs up here, babe. Now get your thumbs in there. All right. You ready?
All right, let's see if he has any struggle with this. I kind of doubt it. Like I said, oftentimes when Oftentimes when he would be trying to do this, he also had other things to worry about. He was going to have to finish getting his thumbs out, and then he was going to have to deal with the, oh, look at that.
Oh, yes.
Be doggone. Once he gets one out, he doesn't have much trouble wiggling out of anything, does he?
No.
Oh, my goodness. Did it hurt?
No.
No. It didn't hurt?
No.
No. Well, it sure hurt me, and I wasn't even successful. That's terrific. That's terrific, Steve. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Julie, we mentioned that Steve was featured on a lot of television programs, a lot of programs. The Dick Clark Show numerous times, the one we're going to see here, Games People Play. When this was really happening, I mean, you were there with him live on the scene when this stuff was going on. Were you ever worried that something was going to go wrong?
I won't say I didn't hold my breath a time or two. I did. But Steve kept me in the loop right from the conception of a stunt all the way through. So that, and I knew he was just determined to take as much of the danger out as possible. Now, there was always, you know, that element of human error, mechanical failure, but I knew that when Steve did a stunt, that it was going to, he was going to do it and do it just to perfection. So.
In the first one we're going to see, Games People Play, Steve is chained to a car, and the car he's chained to is loaded with explosives.
Yes.
So he has to escape before an oncoming vehicle slams into the car loaded with explosives, and of course would slam into Steve if he doesn't escape.
Exactly.
We want to warn our viewers, this is old film that's been put on DVD, and,
Very old.
and in some places it's a little rough, but they will get an idea of what the people were seeing at home, right?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and start this rolling. This is the car that's going to slam into the explosive car, and there's Steve, of course. He's chained to the car, and the narrator is there making sure that his locks are tight. Okay.
1, 2, 3, go.
Steve counts down to 3, and the car speeds down the runway. He's got to get out of there. He's standing right in front of the bullseye.
Steve has his right hand and right leg free, having a little problem with the left hand, though.
His left hand,
Uh-oh.
of course,
He
is
is
always
hurt.
bigger.
Ah!
What an explosion! I don't know if Steve Baker's all right. Yes, he is.
Let's keep this rolling because they have a slow motion of him diving from the scene. Okay, well, the driver's okay.
He
He
was
looks
a bit
happier than
excited.
Steve. Oh, here's the slow motion. They had a separate camera on Steve. Okay, he does get that left hand away. He takes a big old headlong dive. Oh my goodness. That was a matter of about a second and a half.
Yes.
Okay, why don't you stop that for us if you would, Julie? This is the Dick Clark Show. This is another example, but I mean, you said you were holding your breath. My goodness. You know, that guy could not have stopped.
The
or veered
problem
away.
with that one is you could not in real time see Steve get away.
Yeah.
You really could only see it during the slow motion, and where I was positioned, I couldn't see him
So
make it.
you didn't know for
So
sure.
I didn't know for sure.
Until you saw him dusting himself off that he was okay.
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay, why don't you go ahead and click it for us again? We'll see some of the Dick Clark Show here.
An extraordinary guy. He
This is-
absolutely amazes us with his performances. And the big question in everybody's mind that I bump into on the street is, how the heck does he do it? Well, tonight we could get a little closer to that answer. If you will, please greet Mr. Escape. Mr. Steve
Mr.
Baker.
Escape, Steve Baker. Okay. I think our microphones are probably picking up what Dick Clark said, but this is pretty cool. And here he comes. And there's Julie. Boy, you were looking great, Julie.
Thank you.
Wow.
She has brought
Wow.
along the family clothesline. What is this? It's a 10-foot length of nylon or nylon interior piece of rope. It's a what we call sash.
You
cord.
have some very interesting costumes. Who made those for you?
Those costumes were made for us by Bill Ballou. He made all of Elvis's wardrobe the last
that
5
right?
years of his life.
No kidding.
That's probably why there's so much sparkle and mirrors on there.
Yeah, yeah. Did you?
Steve even had capes that. Yeah.
Did Steve like the glitter?
Oh,
did he,
loved
he
it.
Did, huh?
You bet.
Over there now. Come on. Now, you distracted.
If Steve were to turn around, the whole back of the wardrobe is just
What is your name, sir? Robert.
Sparkly?
sparkly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that right? Okay. So these guys are gonna, if you would, I'm gonna fast forward that a little bit, Julie. We're gonna try to pick this up a little bit.
And what I'm going to ask you to do is wrap it around your hand as if you're going to go into a game of tug of war.
Oh, not allowed at this moment.
I'm gonna look.
There we go.
Take it home. He did.
Whoop.
Now, Steve has done this, I think, in 9 seconds flat, upside down.
Okay, this is a different episode.
And that was
And now we're on the Alan Thicke Show, right?
This is the Alan Thicke Show
That's terrific.
from Canada. Steve had put Alan Thicke in the straitjacket first, and of course he couldn't get out. So
Do we know what happened to the straitjacket? Do you still have it?
it's here somewhere.
Oh, okay. It is with all this stuff that you were able to bring back.
Absolutely.
We just haven't gotten through it
I
yet,
just
huh?
haven't found it yet. With all of that stuff that came back from California, there's some between 60 and 80 boxes I haven't even peeked in yet.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there are straitjackets, transport jackets.
Yeah. Everything
kinds
you
of
needed,
things.
and you
Yeah.
got it all. That's terrific. Thanks. Teresa Greenwood, we were talking about all of this paraphernalia that Steve needed to do, to do his life as Mr. Escape. Turns out they had to move back here for his health, and all of this stuff was in California. And we're talking about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know.
How
I carried
much?
it all.
I know you carried it. How much stuff?
There were 2 storage units. It took us a solid 8 hours. There were 3 of us. One guy, which is a friend of Steve's. His name is Russell. He lives in California. He helped, and then I had to hire a guy to load the truck, and then my girlfriend and I flew out there from St. Louis and rented the truck, and she kind of helped load as much as she could, and then we drove it back. But it was an 8-hour job for one day. It was
just
on a
to load the
Thursday.
truck.
Just to load the truck.
So you had a truck loaded with all his stuff, and now it's here.
Yes.
And we've spread some of it out on the bed here. I mean, Julie hasn't even gotten to go through all of it yet. She's still trying to get through all of it. But we put some of the more interesting and some of the smaller stuff here. What made you want to take this on? Because this is quite an ordeal.
Julie and I have been friends for quite a while, and we play cards together every week. Julie and Dorothy Clanton and Penny Harbert and me, sitting around the table, we had talked about Steve, and Steve wanting a legacy, right?
Yeah.
If all this stuff was lost, he would have no proof other than the pictures and whatnot of the legacy. And living in the Midwest, we're friends and neighbors, and we care about each other. We lift one another up. Every year we have tornadoes that come through and people get wiped out. This was the opportunity of a lifetime to go in and save the stuff before it was wiped out. And, you know, just basic Christian values, I suppose. But yeah, it was an ordeal, I have to say that.
And it also cost a lot of money. So you had fundraisers and the community tried to help out and those kinds of things?
We did our best. We didn't have any funds to start raising money, but we went to the media, and one interview led to another interview that led to the Central Illinois Film Commission stepping in and giving a little help. We raised a little bit of money, but the whole thing cost a little over $4,000 because the truck alone was $2,200.
Yeah.
And what we didn't have by the beginning of October, I just went and borrowed. So then I'm paying that back.
Yeah.
But you don't get the chance to really lift somebody up by saying, here's your life, very often.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where the idea came from, and we thought it was important.
Yeah, it's terrific. It is absolutely terrific. Like you say, this stuff, if this just stayed in storage and Steve passed away at some point in the future, it would just be such a shame.
And the part about this that has been, every life that has been involved in this has been touched in some way. I mean, my friend Ella Kuhar from Carlinville, she went with me, and she had never driven a 14-foot truck.
No, I guess not.
And traffic in California. I mean, we don't have 8 lanes of traffic around here.
Here's a new experience.
So everybody got something from this, whether good or bad. It still, everybody was touched in some way, and hopefully lifted up. And it was just a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, it really was.
And Steve now has all of his stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he looks pretty darn happy about it, too.
Did you show them the book? The book?
The book.
Did you show them the book? The thing that we gave you, remember? We brought the big book back. You'll have to show them. He has his clipping book, and that was the one thing he really wanted.
Okay.
This is it right here. It's all the pages. There are pages of
Yep.
clippings in there.
And handcuffs and
Yes.
all other stuff.
But the
But
book,
this is very fragile, so we're not going to turn many pages. But
when we brought
goes on and on.
when we brought the truck back and stopped, the thing that he really wanted was the book, and we gave him the book, and he just went to tears and said, "I didn't think I'd ever see this again."
Wonderful.
And that was the meaningful moment that Steve and I became friends.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you very much.
Houdini outdone. Don't you love that?
Yes,
Julie, don't you
yes.
just love that? This is the book that Teresa was talking about.
This
which
is
had
the holy grail
the whole,
of the memories.
his whole career, everything that was clipped. I mean, and you clipped everything
Pretty
from
much.
all over the world when you traveled.
Yes.
Isn't that
Between
outstanding?
this and the film footage, this is it.
Yeah, isn't this terrific? Okay, let's see if we take a little journey here with Steve and Julie.
Let's see.
Okay. Oh, we missed one, didn't we? Okay, let's go to Australia next. if
All
we can,
right. Australia was just a wonderful time.
New Bankston Square is where he was playing, and he was the headline there, wasn't he?
Oh yes, yes. We were the entire show, and of course he did the water torture cell and the hanging straitjacket, as well as many other things there.
And when you traveled, did you have to take all that stuff with you?
Oh, yes.
Your own water torture cell.
Oh yes.
Wow. And here's okay. This is Mexico
That's
City.
Mexico City. We worked the Olympic Stadium.
Here's Steve.
in
Oh,
Mexico
the Olympic
City.
Stadium. So this is after '68 when the Olympic Stadium was built, huh?
Right.
And there he's going into a box or a coffin or something.
Right. That was the first time that the coffin of death was ever actually performed.
Okay. And in another stunt, there's somebody here didn't get as lucky as Steve, where this guy's actually on fire.
Oh yes, there was other performers. This was a whole stunt show, which Steve headlined.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Okay, let's go. So you really got around.
We did. We did. Japan, South America, Caracas before it.
Steve became famous, of course, locally. This is Montgomery County, but became famous locally for what he was doing in all around the world.
Oh, absolutely. This was the beginning of it all. The Oakland Tribune Tower stunt.
Absolutely. And look at this picture here. I love this one. This is Steve and you have come home
Yes.
to be with his parents.
Yes, Joe and Cleo Baker.
And Joe was the chief of police of Irving at one time?
He was right here in this house. Yes.
And you and Steve are just looking terrific there. Just absolutely terrific. Isn't that wonderful?
It was a great way to make a living.
Thank you to both of you for sharing this with us.
Thank you for
been so
letting
much
us
fun.
memorize. Thank you.
Okay. It's so fitting that we end up with this photograph of Steve and his parents, because as I mentioned, this is his boyhood home, and he was able to come back here after getting treatments for his illness, and he was able to get all of his belongings from his professional life here as well. With another Illinois story in Irving, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send 1995 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.